Hello and welcome to my game view for Bastion. Bastion is the name of the hub, sort of the mini city that you have to rebuild and use throughout the whole game. It is where the various stores and upgrade places function. So for example, here is the weapon select store. Here is the distillery. You gain a tonic slot with every level and you can interchange which tonic sort of suits you, whether you want different passive stats. Weapons can be upgraded in the forge. You have to find an item in the world, either something stringy or something heavy, and then once you've achieved the item you can use it to unlock the next tier of upgrades if you have the currency. Each upgrade tree has 5 tiers in total. Survivors that you find come back with you to Bastion, and they aren't really used for anything except filling in sort of plot holes. The game also at the monument has an achievement system, but the achievements aren't really that extensive, but it's something to do for completionists. Bastion also features a shop where you can spend currency on various items like the items needed for weapon upgrades or new tonics or idols. The inventory supply is not unlimited and you don't get enough currency anyway just to buy everything you want. Some decisions are needed. The shrine is used to increase the difficulty of the game and earn more rewards for doing so. Idols that you found or bought can be placed here and switched on and off, which will provide enemies with different abilities. Using the Skyway will take you to the map screen to select a level. Let's take a look at some actual levels and combat. You can't change weapons mid-level usually, and you can only carry 2 weapons, so some element of choice is involved. You also have a shield and a third special move that depletes black tonics that you can find throughout the levels. The kid doesn't have any health regeneration, but he can restore his health by health tonics, which drop fairly frequently. Enemies are quite simple in the fact that they only have 1 move each, but the game usually tries to give you a variety of enemies at once, so knowing that they only have 1 move just becomes a tactical point, and you have to decide which order to kill enemies with which weapons. The kid does have a shield and you can block attacks that you are directly facing, but I felt that the focus of the combat was really about movement. You often face so many enemies that it's important to keep moving to establish the best position. The weapons are also divided between melee weapons and ranged weapons, and you can carry any combination, so you can have 2 melee or 2 ranged weapons if you want, but the obvious choice is to have 1 melee weapon and 1 ranged weapon, depending on the situation. Enemies will either be situated in the level, or they'll be produced from devices such as that, which will keep spawning them until they have been destroyed. This can sort of improve tactical situations slightly because you often get the choice between do you attack the big thing which hurts but moves slowly, or do you run around the edges and kill the things that are spawning the little enemies. Quite often you'll walk into an enclosed area and you will then face waves of enemies, and your path will only be opened once they are all defeated. These situations are quite frequent and they can get very hectic with lots of moving around to reposition yourself for the best possible attack. There aren't any missions or quests like in a typical RPG. It usually just is go to an area and bring something back to the Bastion. You never revisit any of the levels, but the levels are quite short, so it can lead the game to feel fairly repetitive. However, it does offer a fair few levels to try and sort of vary the gameplay. One of them is weapon levels. These levels, you're provided with 1 weapon and you usually have to sort of complete some sort of task in a set time or in a set way. How well you perform this task will result in rewards or not. Some interesting plot levels are the who knows where levels, where the narrator will talk out and explain the history of one of the characters whilst you fight 20 waves of enemies as the kid. They usually take place in a dream or a coma-like state, which can provide very interesting artistic gameplay and sort of breaks up the flow quite nicely. The foremost gameplay though is the combat, and the only other type of gameplay really is when you're in Bastion working on the RPG elements such as upgrades and such, but considering they're centered around the combat, it clearly is the core feature of the game. And that concludes the game view for Bastion. Please feel free to check out the full review in the link provided in the description. My name is Vico, thank you for watching.